Peace, y'all. We made it. Your identity, your identity is the most important things that you need to change in order for your life to change or for your circumstances to change. Nothing changes unless your identity changes. This is fruition. If you think about manifesting, manifestations, growth, self improvement, awareness, circumstance, time. These things are opportunities. These things aren't by chance. Something magically transpires, or something gets built by accident. Nothing changes unless your identity changes. You can one can hit the lottery. If I went out here and I picked the quote unquote the lucky Powerball ticket, and I win, you know, mass amounts of billions of dollars, but yet my identity or my thought system, my manner, the manner in which I behave is still the same from my previous experience with the world and the situation and circumstances thereof. What difference would the amounts of money that or the winnings from the lottery ticket change? Would I not be that much more in which I already was, or the situations and circumstances and experience prior to me walking into the winnings? I say that to say the fear of letting go of things that are comfortable hinders that in which we may dream or wish to become. It's like a, a moment or a space in time which is present because the opportunity presents itself, i.e., when we wake up in the morning. We're so comfortable with the routine, whether we like it or not. We could chastise the moment for, lack of better words, waking up on a Monday after the weekend and you got to get up and go to work, or you got to wake up and go to class, and you just want to lay in the bed, 5, 10, 15 more minutes, 3 more snoozes, right? These things are comfortable because we know what to expect. And that loop we're familiar with. Could you remember a time where Monday morning arrived and you didn't have that alarm or that snooze to hit or anywhere to go? I've experienced that many times in my life, and whereas though that's a not so comfortable feeling. Now that's back when, in the old world where that was nothing like the world that I see today. But that is also an opportunity. The opportunity you're going to take advantage of to either cast a vote to that higher version of yourself in which you wish to become, or you're going to take, the vote to go the opposite way by default. And it takes you away from that version that you wish to become or you can only dream of. And it may just, the vote just is cast for the one that you're familiar with, the one that you're in the loop or routine with. Okay? The identity is the most important thing. And the identity, which for layman's terms is the things in which you not gravitate towards, the things that you attach to, the people that you attach to, that environment that you attach to. Those things are all a part of who we or make up of who we are. And the thought of who that person is what we present to the world. I like to tell the youth, when they kind of let things go, they're, so to speak, just let the day kind of like coast a bit, right? I let them know, when you open your mouth, you let the world know who you are, especially with dealing with people. Now on the internet is a whole new place of its own. I'm playing catch up. I mentioned before that it come from a time where the internet and the social media, and I just want to call it the internet, wasn't nothing that I ever thought I would ever see or be a part of, especially on the social media, the YouTube or any of the platforms like that. Just not understanding, that is the world that I was going to be a part of one day. You understand? So in my experience, it's a it is a marketing vehicle, and whereas everyone is connected within the matrix, and this is a digital matrix, and with that digital matrix, everyone has a quote unquote mask or a different identity that they can either create or promote or exist in or hide in. All right. Direct to the consumer, directly to the outlets, the phones, and everyone down to the children has these phones, and they're more, I want to say, even down to I want to say like the news. Like I come from a time where news came on a couple of times a day, and that's where the world people got their information. All right, and that that feed that feed was what I'm looking for. That feed was driven by quote unquote economy, right? Or no, what do I want to say? Not economy. What am I trying to say? Um, now now it's like with each individual, I want to say account, Facebook traffic, YouTube traffic, Instagram traffic, TikTok traffic, right? These are new ways to market things. It's a new market. So when an individual, a young person, an old person, uh, does something that demands a certain amount of eyes, or it's paid with a certain amount of views, where people gravitate to that individual or that personality, right? The big companies can then say, we'll sponsor you or we'll pay you because we know that people are watching you. Let me get my ad, or let me post my banner, let me put my wrap around you, put my wrap around your name and your brand or your channel or your page. And then they can get paid off of that. Monetization off the identity, off the personality, off of you. So on one hand washes the other, because while a certain demographic is marketed a certain thing, it's the people that help market it. And then depending on how good you are at being you, see, the authentic you, people will gravitate to authenticity in that in which you are, that in which you bring to them. And by them identifying something about you, about your information, or maybe it's your product, or maybe it's I want to say your content. Your content could be like me fixing flat tires, and the my tribe is those in which deal with anything moving wheels. And with that being said, my personality and my identity and how we all identify with each other with that thing, okay, is paid. It's paid for with the eyes and the views. Therefore, you can monetize by earning a check, right? So nothing changes until your identity changes. Nothing is going to change until your identity changes. So that's where we at. And to be actionable about it, you have to take the step to make a decision on am I more than, am I more than what I'm doing now with my opportunity? Am I taking full advantage of my opportunity? And am I, my past experiences? Am I my past troubles? Am I my past relationships? Am I my past, falters? You know, that in which is not manifested yet, but that thought and what I think of myself now with this current opportunity, this current breath, this current day, moment, space, I can decide to become that. That's in which I'm driven to be more, that in which I'm not afraid of letting go of the circumstance. I'm not afraid of letting go you know, the experience for the opportunity to experience that in which I know nothing about. I don't have an attachment to, what's in the dark because I haven't experienced it yet. I just have the opportunity. So, on one hand, time is the ultimate opportunity. The question isn't if we all are operating on different time or how much time we have left or how much time we didn't had or shared together. The real question is, what are we going to do the time that we have available or been given? Or is that time being used to become the highest version of ourself, or that better identity, or that better way of identifying self and mastering that self to manifest into the world and give to the world, in the most authentic way. You understand? Nobody can be the perfect you but you. The world doesn't need another someone else. The world needs you, and to choose you over the limits that others then placed on you, or in my case, the limits that we place on ourselves, not having the information, because most of the time we just don't. No one showed us the way or showed us how. Spiritually, you could be limited, just due to not having lack of knowledge. And then, that's a spiritual process when, to me, when you learn something, when you find out something other than what you've been given or what you've been taught. You understand? How do you feel when you learn something new? What one thing that people might not agree with, with me, is that it really doesn't matter. Like, nobody really cares that much. In my experience, listen to what I'm saying. Nobody really cares that much. You can go out here and you can try to break every record, regardless on what it is, what it's about, and you can fail every time. Nobody really cares. So once you start bouncing to someone else's beat and doing it to seek their validation or their approval or to make someone else happy, you're behind the eight ball, because you're like you're shooting at a moving basket. You know what I'm saying? That's not it's not even a real thing. You know what I mean? With the information from experience, nobody really cares that much. And I'm not saying nobody cares about you, at all. But when we can get into a thing where we think too much. You think too much of, someone else. I don't think that's right. You got to think of yourself first. You got to put yourself first, because in the grand scheme of things, like what's the consequence? One day we're born to one day not be here anymore. All you got is your number. On the wake up. When we wake up, that opportunity, that time that you have is your number. You play it. whatever is whatever. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen anyway. And again, the discipline has to be at the forefront, and the discipline you're committed to you is doing what you doing you. Do you. Like, you got to do you. Don't try to do nobody else, man. And you make that, and then that thing will come together. You'll see, like, that thing will come. And this is just my experience, many a times, man. I could tell some stories, man. Many times I wish, man, I probably just should have stayed in the bed that day, didn't get up and go out, and we'll say that for another time. But definitely, the identity has to be at the forefront, and that's something that you change, over time. It doesn't happen overnight. You make a decision on who you wish to become. You choose you, and you be you, and you choose to do the right thing versus the wrong thing. You got to choose the right thing over the wrong thing. And as long as there's truth there, you got to be able to arrive at your own conclusion. Not to say that you have to know it all. You could take, you could take advice, when it's, if you can apply it, it don't have to be, perfect verbatim, 1, 2, 3, like step by step, the exact way. But you can take what you can use to apply it to, your sauce and what you cooking, and let that thing simmer, and let it become what it, and play the long game. You ain't got to rush. I'm talking about 350. Put that thing on 350, put it in the oven, and let it, let it slow cook. Check in on it. Add season accordingly. That kind of, and do it that kind of way. Who's to say that who's to say, what you need to do for you? And then it's something intrinsic, it's something naturally that you can feel, aura of someone, and when it's truth, because it resonates, it aligns. So how somebody giving it up, if it's motivated, on contact, because again, when you can learn to do without, that's better to me than learning to, have a lot. If you can learn how to do without, that to me is better than learning how to have, what to do with having a lot. You understand? Because somebody, anything can get thrown your way. We can't hold on to everything. We can't take everybody with us. We can't go with everybody. Everybody's not meant to land where we supposed to land at. And that everything comes back around with that opportunity, and then that time. And when you start voting for yourself versus voting for everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And that identity, when that identity change, hence your world, your world around you change, because what you're attached to or detached to is going to manifest. And then down to the conversation, like the conversation is not even going to really be able to be had, because it's not going to be truth there. It has to be truth. And when it's truth, and again, it's many truths, it's many falsehoods, and being able to see someone's perspective, not necessarily having to agree with it, but be able to see it from their perspective, right, where they standing at, is also a mastery, right? Because now not only can I see, I can see where you coming from, I can put myself in you. That doesn't mean that I have to agree with you, but the truth says this: time is not in the time in between the truth and when it becomes realized or becomes actual, you know, has came into, I want to say, fruition, made manifest, right? Time isn't, shout out brother Jay, time isn't no obstacle. It's not an obstacle of the truth, whether I'm here to see it or not. Truth is going to, truth is going to be truth. That's not left up to you and say, you to say or me to say, per se. That's what we're going to stand on. I stand firmly on my square on what I'm standing on. you know. But hey, man, I hope everybody have a truly wonderful, great everything. Peace.